Are you creating this value adding content or are you influencing people to become better version of themselves?
Hello, I know you listened to a lot of podcasts before, or maybe not. Maybe this is your first time listening to one since you saw my post on Facebook. So, a short story, I started 3 business ventures a few months ago with a friend and my family, looking for another platform to market my businesses and at the same time to practice my hosting skills. Most important factor is I want to share the things that I'm learning in this journey to all of you. So I decided to have my own podcast. My podcast is all about authentic conversations with people from different backgrounds and status of life. And this will be about life, love, pain, hustle, dreams, and all other things because I believe that we all have one thing in common. Hopefully, we will all learn from one another. Hi, I'm Rhea, hashtag female hustler, millennial entrepreneur, events coordinator, host, licensed financial advisor, freelancer, podcaster, and a mental health advocate. You'll know more about me through this podcast, and you're listening to Unfinished Real Life Conversations.
So we are on episode 2 of My Own Corner. Our topic for this episode is why podcast? This is one of my crazy dreams to be a professional events host. I think it's crazy because I have this S and R impediment, layman's term. Bulol ako sa R and sa S, and back when I was a kid, this is one of the reasons why I am so insecure. So, after all the hesitations and self doubt, I decided that I want to be a host. Madaldal din naman ako, so better if pagkakitaan ko na, di ba? Madaldal ka, raketera ka, so perfect combination on becoming a host. When the pandemic happened, all my scheduled workshops, trainings, other stuff to be a professional host got canceled and it was really, really frustrating dahil nakalatag na siya lahat eh. So I thought of an alternative to practice my hosting skills and find a way to talk to people even over online meetings. And dahil nga we can't go out yet, so I bought some equipment, thought of a podcast title, did a lot of research of editing, uploading, reach out to some people who could help me and then launch my podcast. Now we have unfinished real life conversations. But before that, what is podcast ba? So I checked from Google. So I got this definition from thepodcasthost.com and it says, simply put, a podcast is an audio program just like talk radio, but you subscribe to it on your smartphone and listen to it whenever you like. In a little more detail, a podcast is a series of spoken word, audio episodes, all focused on a particular topic or theme, like cycling or startups. You can subscribe to the show with an app on your phone and listen to episodes whenever you like on your headphones, in the car, or through speakers. So that's what it says on thepodcasthost.com. Basically, this is like an audio resource or yeah, a program if you want to learn about a certain topic or simply listen to conversations or mentorship. There are a lot of different podcasts right now. Check on Spotify or even Anchor or Apple Podcast, Google Podcast. Several podcasters are now working on uploading contents based on their market niche. And I just decided to have this kind of podcast where I will interview people because I really love talking to people and I believe that there's a story, there's a very valuable story from each individual, and we could learn a lot of lessons from their stories, or even from your story if you're listening right now. Some of the podcasts that I love are Adulting with Joy Spring and Hustle Share, and then Savvy Psychologist, Cleaning Up the Mental Mess with Dr. Caroline Leaf, The Mindset Mentor, On Purpose with Jay Shetty. Yeah, so I follow several podcast shows, but these are just some of those. Here in the Philippines, podcasting is like a baby pa, as an industry. Unlike other countries, podcasting is already a thing. They've been doing podcasting for years now, but in the Philippines, maybe or there are a lot of podcasters na din from the previous years, but they just don't have that exposure or yeah market or ways of or means of telling people about what they're doing. But again, here in the Philippines, podcasting is like a baby as an industry. But there's an interview in Hustle Share of Ron Surbaytong with Trek Gutierrez of Tier 1 Entertainment. And he said there that podcasting is going to be a multi-billion industry in 2021. And I'm even seeing some articles online that podcasting it will really be a big thing next year after this pandemic. Even right now, there are a lot of people who launched their podcast shows during the pandemic since they can do recording or interviews online. And I have always believed that this is a promising field, and Joy Spring is here. One of my lodis, Aaron Ataide, Ron Starbatyong. These are some OGs, okay? These are just some of the OGs in the podcast PH community. And unlike in other countries, Philippines is a bit late on this. Most of us doesn't really know what podcast is. So I want to be in this industry, and well, no one knows. Maybe hopefully they could monetize it soon. But the primary reason is to add value to people, to inspire and encourage and influence in a good way. What can you contribute? I always believe that we should be very careful on how we deliver our message. Lalo na ngayon na almost everything are accessible and available. And it is very easy to, well, go out there and tell people what to do or tell people what's right or wrong. It is ironic that our information is easily available, yet still believe in some fake news, or we don't have the capability, or we don't really practice verifying the sources of some information that we get. If you will make content, or if you will, again, be a podcaster or in YouTube or on Facebook, any influencer or any content creator, people will always ask this question: what's in it for me? Are you creating this value adding content, or are you influencing people to become better version of themselves? Are you even on the same journey of improving yourself? Or you just want to earn money and be famous and be forgotten after that? Bluntly saying, money is good. Earning money is definitely okay, but money is not everything. Money is not really the motivation why I created this podcast. I know there's a new podcaster every single day, and I dream of still doing this for years or even decades. Hopefully, by then, I have learned a lot of technical stuff and ways of communicating to people. But for now, I will just continue on uploading contents for my listeners and hope that in every episode, at least one has learned something that they could use in their lives. Okay, let's now proceed to answering the questions sent from Instagram. Number one is, how do you deal with stress? I think I'm still in the process of really managing stress now. But there's a good kind and bad kind of stress. And I learned that we cannot really avoid stress. It's part of growing up. It's part of being alive. It's normal in this world. It's very important to know your triggers and be self-aware. So pagka nai-stress na ako, there are days na na-handle ko siya ng maayos and there are days na hindi rin. That I snap and maiiyak ka na lang sa stress. But whenever I manage it, whenever I can or whenever I was able to manage it, I found out that common practices are to pause, ask questions to myself about the situation, and then I try to identify my triggers, to identify the things within my control and what are the things beyond my control. Then self awareness, pause, step back, then respond. That is when I can think more clearly. But of course, there are bad days, and some of my friends or even my family witness me losing it. But then again, I'm still in the process of learning and knowing myself more. So right now, I can say that I have days na na-manage ko na yung stress. These are the things that I usually do. Second question, bakit po ang blooming nyo? Alam mo, feeling ko yung nagtanong nito, hindi niya ako nakikita ngayon ng personal. Yun lang. Sabi ko sa inyo, blooming talaga ako sa online classes, mga over Zoom, ganun. Next question. What is your view about a woman with tough love? I can say that I am like this, no? Di ako showy masyado. And it's hard for me to express how I care or value someone. And I show it through tough love. People are different and others might find this way insensitive or not sincere. Pero for me kasi, yung mga taong you really had that deep connection and established relationship, they would know if you really care or if you really love them, whatever way it might be. You can be the sweet type of person or the tough one, but showing people your concern, they would know that you are being real based on the level of relationship you have. All right, so those are the questions. And that's it for now for another episode of My Own Corner. Thank you for listening. Thank you for listening. Don't forget to follow our podcast on Spotify and shameless plug for our ventures Yummy Habit PH, Mama Luke's Anliligaw, The Fat Bombs. Just look them up on Instagram and Facebook. Till our next episode, always remember we are stronger together.